What's going on, everybody? Paul Hickey here with offseason.com. Welcome to the Sports Card Strategy Show, episode 69. I'm happy to be here with you today to talk sports card strategy the day after the Super Bowl and welcome in my main man, Kendall, Lefty, McKee.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, man?
Sorry.
Throwing you on the spot here as you're joining in the stream. I was just telling everybody that, we are very, very happy to be here. Episode 69, Sports Card Strategy Show. We've been doing this together for about a year now. Sports Card Strategy Show has been alive and well for about a year and a half. And we got a lot to talk about today, the day after the Super Bowl. But before we jump into it, I want to remind everybody that you can go premium free for a year at offseason.com. To find out how, just email me at paul@nooffseason.com. And we are making many, many, many improvements to that product. The premise of the product, for those of you who don't know, is that we have sports card rankings across all sports. So regardless of what you collect or invest in, we've got you covered. But in addition to that, when you are a premium member, you get in-depth player profile write-ups about timely write-ups about what you should be doing with that player based on the current opportunity. Buy, sell, hold. Sometimes it's a hold or a buy, depending on, what your situation is. And we've got card data that is a little bit different than market movers. Market movers and card ladder both sort of have data from hundreds of thousands and millions of cards, and we just kind of pick 3 to 5 cards per player that we think is relevant to invest in for the player. And it's helpful because when you spread yourself too thin, it's harder to make money. So we talk about that a lot on the Sports Card Strategy Show. But anyway, that's a little overview, a little reminder for everybody. Another quick reminder is we have a premium podcast, premium.sportscardstrategy.com. For those of you who love the show and want more of the show, go to premium.sportscardstrategy.com and you can upgrade for $9.99 a month. You can get more sports card strategy. So I just did an episode last week on the Atlanta Culture Collision card show recap, which includes card show strategies that I've learned, and there'll be more of that. We're gonna take an in-depth look at my portfolio, what I've done sports card investing wise over the last 3 years on that premium pod. So, all right, now to the content you've all been waiting for. Lefty, McKee, giving you a minute to clear your throat, wake up a little bit. I'm in the same boat though. I had a little trouble getting out of bed this morning. What is going on with you? How you doing, man?
I'm good, but the Super Bowl went late, I was just like, I was like, oh, sick, man. What a great game. It's like late at night. And I'm like, oh, man, I got the Sports Car Strategy Show tomorrow morning. Let's go, And so rolled out of bed this morning and was like, I'm good, Paul. I'm coming, but I'm here. I'm ready to party. What a wild week for me. I traveled a lot this week. And it's been good, but I am all over the place today. So I'm ready to be here. I am thankful to be here, and let's talk some cards, man. How about that?
Let's get into it. Brian Steeler 714. Good morning to you as well. We love the comments. So for those of you who are able to be on YouTube and be part of the show, we love that. For those of you who are not, we know most of our audience actually listens on Apple and Spotify. So shout out to all of you guys as well, and keep the emails coming, keep the social media questions coming. We got a lot of audience shout out and questions today to get to, which will be fun content. But I'm going to jump into my L of the week. So, every once in a while, I'm buying and selling a lot of cards, and I like to share my L. And a lot of times my L has to do with sort of timing and being impatient. And I think this one might fall under that category because I recently had a lot of cards graded at PSA. One of the players that I'm big into buying right now is Cade Cunningham because he's injured, and I like that strategy. I talk about going where they ain't. And and people are not really buying Cade Cunningham right now, so his prices are down. So what I did is I bought several silver raw, and what I didn't really realize is what grade this would get for being off-centered up down. And there may be other issues with this card, but I don't see them. And so I listed it for sale. It came back a PSA 6 silver prism, and I listed it for sale. And I've got close to 100 cards listed right now on my eBay store, no offseason sports cards. And long story short, accepted an offer for $25 for this. So that's an L. Now, why did I accept the offer? Sometimes you just got to replenish your cash stash. When you get a card, like basically for everybody, my strategy is I'm holding Cade. I'm not like dumping Cade, but if I get back a bunch of non-PSA, the goal with grading for me is to get PSA 10s. And that might sound like a Captain Obvious statement, but what I mean by that is when I don't get a PSA 10, I'm okay just dumping the card and moving on. And kind of like my strategy is if I buy, say, 5 or 6 Cades, for example, and I have them all graded, and whatever comes back super low. I mean, it depends the card. If it's like a rookie ticket auto or a Prism Silver, like a higher end card, and it doesn't get a 10, I'm not just going to dump that. But if it gets a 6, I'm probably just going to try to dump it for whatever I can get and move on. Now, this is an L for me, kind of a three layered L's, right? One L is that it didn't get. One L is that it got a 6. Another L is that I sold it for $25, and I think I'm probably like $75 into the card with the raw fee and the card fee and the grading. Mm-hmm. And then the third L is that the astute buyer, Card Sports Network 31, who bought it from me, literally said, "Hey, like, don't worry about how well you pack up this card, because I'm literally just gonna crack it and it's just gonna be raw again." Which is like, then for me, I was like, you know what?
For him.
I probably should have done that, but it's fine. I'm okay taking an L on this stuff because ultimately, the way that I'm making my moves is more of, like I was saying, submitting in bulk all at once, not holding on to the lower graded cards too long, kind of getting rid of them to replenish the cash, and then gaining the profit margin off the cards that do get the higher grades. Now, that's not all I'm doing, but that's one of the moves that I'm doing is buying raw, grading in bulk, because the bulk prices are low right now. $19 a card at PSA for 20 cards or more. But anyway, wanted to share that L, and then wanted to actually also give props to Card Sports Network and anyone else out there who's thinking creatively about, like, hey, I can get this. I know this is a PSA 6, but it is a Prism Silver, and it is Cade Cunningham. And if I can get it for $25 and crack it, that's a much better move than what I did, which was buy it for like $50 or $55 raw, grade it, and then sell it for $25. So that's my L of the week, Kendall.
Yeah, I think it's tough when to see a PSA 6. I mean, I even think that's tough to comp. Like, even on your side, like, those aren't moving really well, and so, like, to post it for $55, you don't really know. I mean, you're just like, hey, this is basically, it's just like, this is for sale. It's not like this is $55. And oh man, Brian, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you lost your sister, man. I hope you find some joy in this show, that we can be bringing you sports cards. But man, life sometimes just hits you, brother. I'm sorry about that, man. Feel free to reach out to me at Lefty McKee on Twitter, and if you want to talk some more. So,
Brian, I'm sorry to hear that as well. And whatever we can do at all to help you get through this time, feel free to reach out. Like Kendall said, I drop my email out there every show, paul@nooffseason.com. So contact me if you want. If you don't want to, I totally get it. Thank you for sharing with us and for being here with us. And we're supporting you and thinking of you, praying for you, all that stuff. But hopefully the hobby can give you some enjoyment in the tough time, and certainly makes our L of the week, you know, obviously pale in comparison to any real life stuff that any of you are out there dealing with. Sorry to cut you off, Kendall, but we just had 2 more comments come in here, so
No, that's okay.
acknowledge them real quick. Ryan Borusky, love Ryan. He's coming in hot with a lot of great emails, a lot of great content, a lot of great comments, and supporting Brian. And good morning to Chad Gill as well. He says he got 2 PSA 6s as well in his last few orders. He posts them immediately at auction at eBay starting at $1.
Yeah,
bring whatever they bring. So I'm not alone in the strategy. Nice to know, Chad, that kind of dumping the lower graded cards just for whatever you can get, and knowing that it could be a macro win even though it's a micro loss, because again, if it's in a bulk grading submission, it was kind of all hopefully accounted for anyway in the strategy. So anyway, back over to you, Kendall, for your comments and then your L of the week.
Thanks, guys. I talked to Ryan and Chad, and so it's good to see them. Brian, we're praying for you, brother. But yes, definitely puts things into perspective. My L of the week, though, has been I'm impatient. I'm impatient, Paul.
I'm rubbing off on you.
Yeah, I know. I gotta find better friends. I'm just kidding.
I agree.
I'm not impatient in the way that I have been selling, because actually, so it was a couple weeks ago when I was like, Paul, no cards are moving. I'm having a tough time or whatever. I had a hard look at my eBay store and I was like, no cards are moving because that's a bunch of crap you've got on your eBay store.
There it is. That's what we all thought. We were just too nice to say it to you, Kendall.
No, I'm not too nice to say it. And so I just started loading up like tons. Like I think almost everything that you see here, I think, has been listed at some level, whether it's eBay or Facebook or Twitter. And I've been moving cards, and some of them have been taking L's because I'm not getting what I wanted to get out of those cards. So that's been unfortunate, but the fortunate thing is, we've got transactions, so
yes,
it's bringing something back. So that's been cool. And I think you need to go through your bulk boxes every now and then. Like you need to go through those boxes, because I was looking through it. I'm like, I did not know I had that card. I don't have that many cards. Like seriously, guys, like I know, like this white box right here, if you can see it, is empty, but I have 4 of those. Like for a guy that is deep in sports card strategy, people think I have lockers full of like of sports memorabilia. No, you're seeing it all. Like this is it. This is all my wife gives me, So
that's the space. That's the space in your world that you have.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, and things, and I'm the same way. Like I don't have tons and tons of cards, and I like to move. I like transactions. I like to move things. So I get I like the feeling of making a sale, even if it was an L. I like the feeling of somebody else getting a deal, even if it was an L for me. I like going to the post office and like sending the package. I never thought that would, at like age almost 42, that I would enjoy going to the post office and sending a package so much and getting a tracking number.
Yeah. But, dude, I just thought of an L. I just thought of one.
Okay.
So I moved houses about a year ago, and I used to have this post office guy that I loved him, Paul. Like, oh my gosh, going in there, I was like, every time I'd go in there, I was like, Patrick, my dude, like you're so Mike. He would always be like, oh, more sports cards. I was like, of course, man. Like, and we would always talk about just baseball, and we'd talk about what we're going through. And he always spent time like knowing who I was. And I'm over on the other side of town now, so I have to use a different post office, and they're just not nice. And I go in there, and they're just like, Hello. Yeah. Thank you. We'll get it out.
Can I just get sorry, I need a t-shirt that says my package has nothing liquid, fragile, combustible, whatever bombs. Like I need the t-shirt, and I need like
No, what you need is a label
tattoo
printer,
on my
bro. You need to
forehead.
be doing that at your house. You
Well,
need a
okay.
label printer, brother.
I probably do need a label printer. So go easy on me here, Lefty. You know, I just moved to the States. I've done the best I can. But I have been actually, this is kind of an interesting, it's probably a boring topic, everyone, but let us know maybe if it's interesting to you. I have all this packing material. I don't like waste and trash. And like,
Yeah.
Lefty and I have talked about this. Like, I don't like common cards because they just like take up space. And unless you're a set builder, like I don't like common cards because they end up sort of being like trash or packing material. Like Lefty uses them as packing material, which I love. I've started doing that as well. Anyway, my point is I've kept literally whenever I buy a card, I cut the envelope open in a way where I can reuse the envelope. And then I use like old shit and like flip it upside down and like and use that as my label and then like tape it. So the people at the post office think I'm nuts because like what my packages look like, and if you've ever bought a card from me, it's well packed, but like it's not pretty. It's not like a nice little one padded envelope with like a nice label on it.
Yeah.
So Lefty, you're right. I am probably bringing that on myself, but once I get, my goal is to like not only sell some of the cards that are sitting around, but it's to use all of the packing material that I've kept. And then once I'm done with all of that, then I can get a little fancier and then my packages will start looking a little better. But I don't know why. I just decided like when somebody sends me a card and there's a bunch of bubble wrap, or even when I order something off of Amazon and there's bubble wrap, like I keep the bubble wrap.
Oh yeah, bro. That's a pro tip.
Yeah.
I mean, look behind me. Well, you can't really see it. Anyway, we do HelloFresh. You know, do you know what that is? So we do HelloFresh. So every week I get a big old cardboard box with like this stuffing in it because, you know, like they've packed cold meals, and it comes in like a little there's like a little cardboard like topper and bottom, and so I keep those and I cut them in PSA squares.
Yeah.
And honestly, I reuse everything. Like Katie will get a package in the mail and it'll have like some like craft paper around it. She's like, "Do you need this?" I'm like, "Absolutely, get that in here." You know, I have all under this table. I have all these different boxes because I don't know if somebody orders a mass order, I don't want to have to go buy a box
because that stuff is expensive. Also, like to go out and buy bubble wrap and stuff. And actually,
man.
I
use all that.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
Now,
so
I do use fresh ones. I don't use like the outside. The outside, at least, I use a fresh one, but it's everything inside that I use reuse things.
Okay, Ryan, this has got to be a funny joke. He says Market Movers is going to start tracking the value of reused packing material. Love it, love it, Ryan. That's hilarious.
Honestly, I was concerned when you know, do you remember a couple, like you might not have realized this, but wood and like actual building materials spiked like a year ago, and like a pallet of 2x4s was like gold, and I just was so concerned that bubble wrap was gonna go so expensive because I was like, I use that stuff like every day.
Totally.
And so I was so concerned.
That's why when Ryan's comment came in a second ago, I was like, wait, what? Oh, this has got to be a joke. I'm a little slow at 7:20 in the morning here. No, but I think Lefty, that is a good pro tip for everybody if you're not already doing that. I mean, it's just funny how excited I get for like a little piece of cardboard that I can use. Like you call it a PSA square. I like that. Or even just a rubber band. I'm like, oh, a rubber band. I'm going to save this. And I obviously never was like that before I started flipping sports cards. But all right. So W of the week for me, what do I have? What do I have for my W? I have okay, yeah. So this is actually right along the same topic. So going through my cards that I haven't been able to sell because of just logistically, right? This is like what Lefty's talking about, going through the boxes of cards. So I was able to, just listing on my eBay store, it's like putting one foot in front of the other and being able to walk. It's like I actually went through my cards and then I found these cards and then they weren't horrible. So I listed them. And then when I listed them, I actually sold them. And I sold 5 cards to a guy named Matthew Carpenter. Shout out Matthew, who messaged me on eBay and said, look, man, I'm going to make an offer on a bunch of your cards. I'll let you know when I'm done and then send me an invoice. I love that stuff. It's like bulk, like, yes, I will combine shipping. That's like the other thing I need, like tattooed on me or a t-shirt. Like, yes, I will combine shipping, of course. Mm-hmm. So Kenneth Gainwell, rookie patch auto out of 149 that I had like from a couple years ago. Got that sold for about $11. Added Justin Fields Contenders Supernatural rookie card for like $3. De'Ami Brown, Great Expectations patch hollow for another couple bucks. Ramondre Stevenson and Justin Fields Panini Illusions base for another couple bucks. So all in like $29 for a bunch of cards that were just sitting around. That's a W of the week for me. I love that almost as much as I love selling my Cam Thomases for about 5x what I paid for my Cam Thomases. That's my real win of the week is Cam Thomas. Everyone I know is probably wondering, right? After all of the Cam explosions of points and the Cam chatter on the Sports Card Strategy show and at nooffseason.com. But just so everyone has all the details, paid $35 for the raw version of the 2021 Panini Contenders variation Cam Thomas rookie ticket auto. It got a PSA 8, which I think was another $20 into the card. Sold it for $105. So that's basically doubling the money. And then the same photo, but numbered to 99 variation rookie ticket auto also got a PSA 8. I was about $75 into this card, sold it for $165, 188. But then, so that's with I don't get all of that obviously, but almost, doubled the money on each of those cards. So that's my bigger win of the week. A couple other just notables for me on the sales side of things. Mentioned a NBA Hoops hobby box that I bought at Atlanta Culture Collision. So I was bummed about the auto. It was a Dalen Terry rookie red ink, but it was out of 25. So that actually did sell for $41.57 in an auction. And then a Dyson Daniels artist proof from NBA Hoops out of 25 sold for $16.50. So for $115, we talked about this last week, so I don't want to harp on it too much, but I am piecing together
quite a return. Yeah.
Something from that box. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Those are my wins of the week.
Yeah. I forgot about an L of the week that I wanted to share with you.
Go back. L of the week.
It's an eBay transaction. So Andy and I were talking at the beginning of last football season, and I was like, what's a guy that I can buy pretty low that, has the chance to really spike? And he was talking to me about Tolbert, which was a Dallas Cowboys receiver. And
Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah, and Amari Cooper had just moved, and he's like, I think this guy has some upside. He's just got college auto. So I bought it for like $20. I was like, I'm willing to risk that. So anyway, I've had it on my eBay store for $5 for, a couple weeks. Like it did not pan out. And so I'm like, oh, that's okay. I took a risk. Some of my other things did pan out. So, this is a wash for me, but I needed to move it. So I had an offer come in last week for $275. All right. $275. I was like, okay, whatever, let's get it out of there.
$2.75.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. $2.75 shipping, it was like whatever it was, so I'm not making money on this card basically.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And so I was just like, okay, it's whatever, sure. So I take all of my photos on this IKEA cutting board. So it looks pretty as a background. And then I put them in a one touch if they're raw. And then in the description, I even have like a sticky note on my desktop. It says, cards do not ship in one touch. It will come in either a bubble mailer with tracking or an eBay standard envelope, top loaded and taped. Check us out at Wildcards LLC on Twitter. Thank you. Thank you for your transaction. I put that on every description if it's top loaded or if it's one touch.
If it's in the one touch, yeah. Well, the one touch costs more than the $2.70.
I know. I'm like, no, it's not shipping in that. This guy sends me an offer and I accept it. Immediately, I get a message from him. Immediately. Does it come in a one touch? I said, no, brother. It's in the description. No, it does not. It comes in a top loader. And he goes, all right, paying. I was like, sweet. 2 days roll around, no transaction. So I'm like, hey, man, I'm packing a bunch of other packages. I would like to ship all of them at the same time. If you could get your money in, it's not that big of a deal. So just do that.
$2.
And he's like, yeah, man, I'm paying. I was like, great. Nothing. Third time, I'm like, hey, man, this is ridiculous. I didn't say ridiculous. I was like, this is just a very small transaction. I don't care about it, honestly.
I would have said ridiculous.
But like it, whatever. Fourth time, I actually have to cancel the thing. This is like 4 or 5 days later. To cancel the thing, I have to send a legit eBay message to him that's like formulated. It says like a remind the buyer, whatever, even though I already did that.
Yeah.
So, and he was like, yeah, man, ship it on Wednesday. I'll be paying Tuesday night. I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Okay, man, I'm trying to do this. Friday rolls around and I was like, I forgot about this transaction. I guess I'm going to cancel it and relist it, like for whatever it's worth. So I cancel the transaction. I report the buyer, all this stuff. And I cancel the transaction. 20 minutes after I cancel the transaction, he goes, hey, man, why'd you cancel the transaction? I said, man, I reminded you 4 or 5 times. It's a $5 purchase. You're not coming through if you haven't come through already.
Yeah.
And so
that's just shenanigans. Just get him off eBay.
So nothing. So nothing. I didn't have anything. The next day, I get an offer for $250 from Okpour or whatever, OKPOUR.
Okay.
And I'm like, and he goes, hey man, I'm ready to purchase. So here's my conflict, Paul.
Yeah.
Do I accept his offer?
Is it the same eBay
guy.
Username? Okay.
Same guy. Exactly same guy. Even use the
actually
past eBay message feed.
You know what? So
to message me and say he was
that happened. That similar thing happened with my win of the week with Matthew Carpenter, where I was like frustrated by him not paying for the game. So first he offered like $13 for the Gainwell only.
Yeah.
And I waited like several days, and then I messaged him and I was like, and my message literally was like, not having the Gainwell on the market is killing me because it's the week of the Super Bowl. So like, this is like because you haven't paid, it was like 3 or 4 days he hadn't paid. And I was like, because you haven't paid, not only am I wondering if you're going to pay, but now I've lost 4 days of a Kenneth Gainwell card. Like the only time I can possibly sell this card leading into this dude going into the Super Bowl is now off of the market. So you either need to pay or I'm going to cancel it. And so then he was the same guy who came back and then said, I'm going to make you offers on a bunch of your other cards. Stay tuned. I'll let you know. And then it actually went through. So I say this to because I'm inclined to give the guy another chance, because sometimes I default to like being mad at the person and like just wanting to never do business with the person ever again, because I don't like when I can't stand when people waste my time in that way, like for that kind of thing. Like I hate it. And like Chad's in the comment, Chad saying no. And like,
that's so
funny. I would say no, but honestly, like, because if you want to just get rid of the card and like, you want to give this guy some grace and give him another try, I would actually say, give him another chance, and then I don't know, like hopefully it'll go through, and maybe you can reverse the feeling of the whole thing and send him some extra cards and make him feel good. And I'm thinking take the nice guy approach on this one. Give him another chance. That's what I'm thinking.
So I actually ran out of time on the auction. Like I ran out of time on the bid, and forgot to go back to it, and so the offer expired.
Okay, well then.
So what I'm thinking is like
great conversation though, because this happens to all of us, I'm sure. And I didn't mean to cut you off, man, but like you made me think of all these other scenarios, and I'm sure everybody listening can relate. But eBay, I don't know, have any of you gotten invited to this eBay seller online conference thing? I got invited to a eBay online seller conference on like March 2nd or something. And it's like, I don't know, in the afternoon for a couple hours. So it's free. So I RSVP'd yes and got it on my calendar. And I thought it would make for a good conversation on the show at some point. But leading in, like on the form to register, it said like, can you give us any feedback? And my feedback was what we've talked about on this show, which is, and I actually told my contact at eBay who ran the campaign with no offseason in the Sports Card Strategy show. I had a great conversation with her face to face over like a Google Meet. And I said, I told her the same thing. I said, you guys have to figure out a way to penalize, like to collect payment up front for these things. And if or to immediately penalize the buyer, like, because eBay is so they're trying to be so seller friendly. This should go along with their MO, you know? So anyway.
Yeah. And so my first thought was, I'm willing to give you another chance, bro, but you're paying the whole $5. I'm not giving you a $2.50 discount.
If don't ask me about the one touch, or I'm going to cancel it.
Yeah. So anyway, I kind of felt bad. I went back and forth, and I finally was just like, whatever. So if you guys want that Jason Tolbert card for $3, go get it on my eBay store.
Jalen Tolbert. Chad Gill in the comments, burn the card raw on YouTube with this story and you will go viral. BJ Patel, can you block buyers?
Unfortunately, I don't think you can.
Chad, I'll give you $3 just so he doesn't get it. VJ, I'll come in at 301. Love you guys. Funny. I love you guys. This is great. Greeny Green said that he made $600 profit off of Cam Thomas.
I believe it, dude. That dude was going super viral for a minute.
Way to go, Greeny Green. That's what I'm talking about, guys. That's why I'm here. Amen. The whole Cam Thomas thing is why I'm here. It's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Anyway, Dell's Card Shop is a new name. What up, Dell's Card Shop? Thanks so much for being a part of the show. We love you. Great day in Kansas City. Yeah, congratulations, man. That's got to feel good. I don't know what that feels like. I don't know anything close to what that feels like because I'm a Detroit Lions fan. So when I win a playoff game, I'll let you guys know how I feel.
I do have a win of the week, though, Paul.
All right.
Do you want to get back to that?
Yeah, let's do it.
So in our PSA submission that I waited since July for, I had just a smattering of cards that I was like, if these gem, I bought them for $1 or so, but if these gem, I either pulled them myself or bought them in a dollar box, then I could make some decent return off some cards I got for $1. So I sold this card last night, the Pedri rated rookie, PSA 10. I bought this card for $1, graded it for $15. So I'm $16 into this card, and I made it, and I accepted the offer of $50. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about, man. I just 2x on this card. So this Jason, I technically 2.5x on this card. So Jason Tolbert can go a place where the sun doesn't shine, and I'm going to ride this Pedri PSA 10 off into the sunset as this goes into the mail today with my used bubble wrap and my label printer, because we're doing it hot over here at the McKee household. So
all right, I love it, Kendall. Good win of the week. It's simple, but I love it because it's Pedri. I love it because it's a dollar box. A great
dollar box find, baby.
Dollar box find. Kendall graded it with his eyes, his beautiful eyes, and he was right. He got a PSA 10. and I'm going to get a label printer. You can keep saying the words label printer as many times as you want to in the show. It's going to chip away at me, and I'll get one.
Dymo needs to sponsor the Sports Card Strategy show. Dymo label printers.
Dymo label printers. We know you're listening. Email
Use
me
our discount code and get 20% off at dymo.com.
That's right. Not yet, but it will happen. Kendall's just previewing a future.
I don't even know if Dymo is dymo.com.
Dymo. Yeah, we don't know what's at dymo.com, so don't go there.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't go there. Chad's dropping some knowledge in the comments about not being able to use the envelope, the standard envelope. That makes sense. I mean, I guess it's not great, but RPO Sports Cards chiming in. Good to see you on the show, RPO. Label printers are game changers. Yes, we want you to have a great week as well. All right, I'm going to go pretty fast through my buys and sells of the week because we got some audience questions to get to, and that's awesome. I strongly prefer audience questions. So my buys of the week, shameless plug, nooffseason.com. When you go there when you're a premium member, you click on my dashboard. I have answered the audience and member feedback. So member feedback at nooffseason.com came in hot and strong recently. Give us a list of all of your buys and sells and holds all at the same time so that we don't have to click on the player profiles and read each one individually to see whether or not they're a buy, sell, or hold. Fair enough. So what I was able to do using a great technology called WordPress is tag each of the player profiles, whether or not they are a buy, sell, or hold. So now we have these beautiful curated lists, and this is the member dashboard. So you click on your member dashboard, you get all the, this is just part of what you get. But now what you can do is to see my buys of the week. Well, to see who I'm saying all our buys, and I'm going to call this out as my buy of the week. You click on buy from your member dashboard, and now you have a list of all the guys who are buys right now, and we changed this. And I have to say, Kendall, baseball. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, in your opinion. But now, and you can there's more than one page. So click on older posts to see all, keep seeing all the buys, guys. But I was amazed at like Mike Trout, like it would be a time to buy him right now. I mean, his like the cards that we were talking about last year on the show, and I know you've tried to get up to PSA 10s, like trade up to PSA 10s of one or two of his particular Bowman 2011 cards, I think. And I mean, but he's a great buy right now. Adley Rutschman is, from a pricing standpoint, appears to be a great buy right now. So, and even J-Rod is still at a point where but I've talked about him. I've got Connor on here. So it's hard to pick one buy of the week, but if you go to nooffseason.com, if you're a premium member, you can click on my dashboard after you log in and then click on buy, and you can see basically all the entire list of all the buys. And I'm going to call out baseball, like not everybody, but Mike Trout, Adley Rutschman. Let's stop there. Those are my buys of the week.
Mike Trout is a really, really interesting buy right now because one, he's in the cellar. He's just people don't believe in him right now. Paul, are you aware of the World Baseball Classic?
I am slightly aware of it. Yeah, my son Max is a huge baseball fan, so we were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah, so this World Baseball Classic is about to pop off. Team USA is led by Mr. Mike Trout himself. He is saying, caution to the wind. I know I have this injury asterisk next to me. I'm going to go out and win the United States a medal or a trophy for the World Baseball Classic and compete on the highest level for my country. If this was happening in any other country, in any other sport, people would be like, oh my God, yeah, the best player is going to go play for Team USA. Nobody cares right now. Because it's not on TV. When it gets on TV and Mike Trout is rocking that USA uniform and he's hitting 500 and he's hitting 6 bombs in a championship game against Dominican Republic, people are going to care. I think there could be a quick preseason spike in Mike Trout cards. So there you go.
I love it.
Great call.
Thank you. And great support to the call. I think you're absolutely right. So that's my buy of the week. Oh My Shoes, sup to you as well, Duder. Good to have you on. I think Oh My Shoes, I'm about to throw you some props here in a second in an upcoming segment, so stay tuned. Kendall, before we go to your buy of the week, VJ has a question. He says, how about overseas for baseball? Do you know what he means? I know VJ's in the UK. I'm not sure exactly what he means by this, but are you interpreting this as a question that you
a little bit. So VJ's been sending me some voice notes on Instagram, which is beautiful, by the way, because of his British accent. I can't wait to hear more of them. And so I've been trying to rattle my brain with this as well, because it's a little out of pocket for me. I don't with baseball transactions, typically mine are in the States, and so I'm trying to put myself in his shoes and then trying to put myself in a market's shoes. And then when we talked to was it Grant or what was that guy's?
Frankie?
Yeah, Frankie. He was talking about baseball moving really slow at his card show, but he was also buying cards that are not worth a thing anyway. So that's one problem. But there's interesting things, because Topps does make UK edition baseball cards. They literally make UK edition Topps cards, and they sell for pretty good money over here. So that's kind of interesting in itself. And so I think there is a market there, especially for some players like Jazz Chisholm and some players like that. And Great Britain is in this World Baseball Classic. They are in it. And there are some players that are worth looking into on their roster. I think, an interesting thing is there is some interesting guys on every roster. For instance, I think here's a little pro tip that I'm going to go into in a different segment. But Ian Kinsler, former second baseman for the Texas Rangers and the Detroit Tigers. Yes, we traded him for Prince Fielder. Ian Kinsler is the coach of Team Israel. He's Jewish, and so that he was able to coach for Team Israel. If they do well, Ian Kinsler's cards could go up. So it's like there are some things I always love to see the peripherals that end up juicing because of certain things. For instance, had Travis Kelce won an MVP last night, Jason Kelce's cards might have taken a bump as well. For instance, I saw a 1-of-1 where the Kelce brothers are holding jerseys together that was selling for a bunch of money. So
cool.
I love Ian Kinsler as well. I'm super excited that the Rangers just hired him as an assistant GM. So anyway.
Yeah, when you PC someone, I guess you kind of hope their cards don't go up. Although my Anthony Edwards PC is growing, and I'm gonna sell that entire PC one day when he's basically the next LeBron,
the best player in the world.
Let's go, Ant-Man. Yeah, that's okay. Thanks for taking VJ's.
That's a tough question. I think you could start it. I think you could be the start of something, but always you're going to have to find your market. Like you need somebody to sell to.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, like, why not? What I would do is, if I were in the UK and I really, really, really wanted to become a baseball card investor flipper, like like Frankie Goodman is from Digital Grading Co., who we were talking about a second ago. I believe and he's a friend of the show. I believe he genuinely wants to learn about baseball card investing, which is cool. Yeah. He's in the UK. So what I would do if I were him or VJ is I would use the vault. I would use a PWCC vault and, or the eBay vault. And I would, buy the cards that Kendall and I talk about, because those are the cards that the market wants. Yeah. And I would keep them in my vault, and then I would ship them from my vault, and you can make money that's what I did when I was in Spain. So you guys should be able to do that. You may need, for the eBay vault, you may need a US address though. And that's why I led with PWCC, because I feel like PWCC might be easier to just sign up for online without actually having like being a US resident. I could be wrong. I don't know. I know that people in Canada as well listen to this show, and I'm often interested in like some of the challenges that Canadians might have with the US card market with just logistics, like
Yeah.
paying more for shipping, paying like just paying. I don't know if it's whatever. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole right now, but that's an interesting conversation. So, good question, VJ. Kendall, who's your buy of the week? Who are you buying, or who is your buy of the week for the audience?
Man, I really was going to talk about Mike Trout because this World Baseball Classic is really interesting. I'm kerfuffled when it comes to you like that. You almost spouted your coffee
my coffee at the screen.
I'm kerfuffled when it comes to there are just incredible players in this tournament. This is something I look forward to all the time because it's a tournament that historically minor league players have played in for the USA team, and the USA really hasn't taken an interest previously in winning this tournament because of the way that it falls with spring training. And this year you have some absolute studs playing in this tournament, and it's like, yes, finally we're going to get like real World Cup baseball that's going to happen. And the Dominican Republic team, there are guys they left off the roster that would be like the best player on other people's teams. O'Neal Cruz is not on this roster. O'Neal Cruz did not make the Dominican Republic team.
That's crazy.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I mean, they had like their preliminary roster, like before, it realized who was injured and whose teams asked them not to come and stuff. They had like Vladdy Jr., Fernando Tatis Jr., Acuna's Venezuelan, but Luis Roberts playing in this tournament. Like, there's just some studs. Mike Trout's in it. Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado. Lars Nootbaar, actually, I think this is one actually that is a buy that I wanted to talk about. Lars Nootbaar is an American-born with Japanese heritage. From the time he was very little, he always wanted to play for the Japanese national team. Japan has never had a player in their team that is not born in Japan. Lars Nootbaar made the Japanese team this year that has Shohei Ohtani on it, Yu Darvish on it, Lars Nootbaar on it, several of the brand new guys that are just signing in the MLB. Japan's national team is going to get a lot of media attention, and they always do because they're very competitive and they're very good, very respectable team. They've won it a couple times. But Lars Nootbaar, I think, is interesting because he's a guy that is low on the totem pole in St. Louis. He's very cheap right now. His autos and stuff are very, very obtainable. And he's the first American-born player with Japanese heritage and descendants to play on the Japanese national team. And I think that's going to get a lot of media attention. So if he does anything, and I think he will, he's a nice player. If he does anything, his cards are going to rise exponentially, especially in like Japan itself.
Love the knowledge. Lefty dropping the knowledge. A subscriber at nooffseason.com, Howard.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say your last name, Howard, just because you've just only emailed me personally, and I don't think you've ever been on the show. But Howard, I asked about Lars Nootbaar a couple weeks ago in an email. So if you're listening, Howard, listen to what Lefty just said. Dropping knowledge. Chad Gill, 2021 Topps Japan Edition MLB Hobby Box for 102. He's going to rip it, grade it, listed on eBay worldwide.
Yeah.
Go where no one else is. This is my thinking. That's great thinking, Chad.
Topps other country editions actually sell for a pretty decent amount of money sometimes. This is not a market that I particularly come into, but I regularly kind of run into the UK edition and the Japan edition. And then I think there's a Bowman set that's Japanese editions as well, which is really fun. So, but yeah, so Lars Nootbaar is digging through the dollar box here, but I think you could make a decent margin there, especially if you can get his cards for really cheap.
All right.
That's my buy of the week.
Sell of the week for me is related to a concept that I'm going to continuously talk about, especially in the premium pod, premium.sportscardstrategy.com. And you can, if you click the join button on the eBay channel, you'll get that too. Sell of the week is, I've got guys like Kevin Durant. I've talked about him. Jalen Hurts has been my sell of the week for a while. That's nothing new, but guys like James Wiseman, Bones Highland, and Cam Thomas now are sells for me. You've heard me. I literally sold my Cam Thomases, so that should tell you that he's one of my sells of the week. And then I've got LeBron and Luka on my sell of the week list as well. And this is at nooffseason.com for the premium members. And why? Okay, so I could see people arguing with me saying Durant is now in a position to win the NBA championship. Luka is also in a position to win the NBA championship. LeBron's playing like an MVP and he's a GOAT, so why not hold him? And for those guys, my philosophy is I would rather sell during a hype cycle. So if you're with me on that, you could even argue, well, the hype cycle is kind of ending, right? But because it's still relevant after these trades, Kyrie coming to the Mavs, Durant going to the Suns, etc., I would rather sell during a hype cycle spike than try and predict and be correct about Kevin Durant winning the championship or Luka winning the championship this year. So when you see guys rise in value during natural times during the season. So right now, like mid-February, next weekend's the All-Star break, and it's leading into the playoffs. So basketball card prices should continue to rise for these guys. And like Luka getting Kyrie on his team and coming back from injury, and then Durant joining the Suns, like their card value should rise over the coming weeks, and I would sell them because their card prices are going to go down after that. They could go up in the playoffs, of course, but they would have to win Durant would have to win the championship for it to really crescendo even further than it's going to be now and over the next couple of weeks. And I don't want to bank on the sports betting aspect of this so much as I want to bank on in cards. You can just play the seasonality of things and you can play the hype cycles and you can make money and take money off the top and reinvest it. And so only one of Durant, Luka, LeBron, I'll throw LeBron in there.
Oh, come on, don't do that.
Only one of them can even make it to the NBA finals. So
LeBron might not even make the playoffs, brother.
No, I know, but I'm saying like only one of them can even make it. So anyway, those are my sells, and that's why. And then in terms of the Wiseman and Bones, those guys just being in the news, like you've been holding Wiseman, guys. You've all been holding James Wiseman for a long time. Him being traded gets him in the news. So it gives people in the world a reason to buy James Wiseman that wasn't there before. So just get rid of him. Like maybe he ends up being a nice player. He's not the James Wiseman that we all thought he was going to be. No. You got to get rid of him now. All right, Kendall, you can rip on me for having LeBron be in that sentence there.
I love LeBron, but he's not playing. He's not winning the NBA Finals. Episode 69. Yeah, I think I think it is a little bit too late to be buying F1. There's probably a couple marginal guys that you can buy into. I would wait for a couple of the guys that people are expecting to do really well early on to not do well early on and then buy into those cards. Who knows what Ferrari's going to be doing with their new, team manager and everything. It's just like they were, in shambles last year. So who knows if if they come out of the gate really slow, then I would buy into some Ferrari cards. I'm just saying that there's just the first one that came to mind. But however the narrative plays out for the first couple of races, I would buy in on some people that that don't do well out of the gate. But where was it? Oh, Bones. I think Bones is unique in this situation. They moved Reggie Jackson. There's some point guard stuff going on over there. I think Bones could literally carve out a role on this Clippers team that he could not carve out in the Denver Nuggets team. Kyrie and Leonard, or not Kyrie, Paul George and Leonard, they struggle for some reason together sometimes, and sometimes it's like they both play too slow. I don't know how to explain this, but like Kawhi is very like, okay, cool, and then like Paul George is kind of that same sentiment, not in the same way, but like Paul George is a star, but he's like also like not the aggressor. So like sometimes he's not cutthroat or like Russell Westbrook. He's not just gonna fire people up. Bones could come in there and just like heat up a series real fast.
Yeah.
So I think Bones could be like out of those people. I think Bones has the projectable to still juice. But at the same time, I hate Durant. Absolutely hate him. He stabbed me in the back one too many times, and that was once when he left Oklahoma City for Golden State. So I vowed to never buy another Durant card, no matter how much I wanted it or not. And then he leaves Golden State, stabs them in the back to go to Brooklyn, and then stabs Brooklyn in the back and goes to the Phoenix. So
the Slim Reaper is just stabbing everybody.
Yeah, he's just using that little scythe and just killing people along the way, and he's killing his fans. Honestly, like he is one of the greatest scorers I've ever seen, and people don't like to talk about him because he continually annihilates his fan bases, and like he just doesn't care about them.
Yeah,
and I understand like he's trying to score, blah, blah, but here's the problem. I trusted the Texas Longhorn, Paul. I trusted the Texas Longhorn. I never should have.
That was a mistake.
I never should have. This Aggie should never have trusted a Texas Longhorn.
You'll never see me trust a Wolverine. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh my gosh. Kevin Durant. Oh.
All right. So selling anyone else you want to throw in the sell category?
Kevin Durant's does he have a brother? Sell his cards.
There we go. All right, so let's go to some audience comments and questions to close out the show because we got some good ones. And I think this is Oh My Shoes. I want to give Oh My Shoes some props. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong here, buddy. But he's got his first. This is his first ever listing on eBay. This Paolo Banchero lot, which I think is pretty nice looking. Yeah. I think it's pretty nice looking. He's looking for $17.50 or best offer. I think it's well priced. He's got 3 Paolo Banchero cards. He's got multiple photos, and it's well priced. So this is his first ever. One of them's a gold foil short print. Nice.
Yeah. Come on, shoes.
You're arriving now. Way to go, Oh My Shoes. I think this is you. I think we found you here.
If it's not, we're still rooting for you.
Yeah. It's one of our audience members. I'll tell you that. So
let's go.
Props to whoever it is. Good job. All right. So let's go to a question. Now, this question came in from the Spotify. So when you can post a question on Spotify, and then I will get your question through the podcast platform. Oh My Shoes says it is him. All right, good. Thank you. And so Russ, who's a listener on Spotify, says,
"Let's go, Russ."
45-year-old dad finally getting back in the card game with baseball.
So it's Russell Westbrook. All right.
Yep, 45. Do I go get complete base sets, then open hobby boxes to trade and sell? As a beginner, what do you suggest to get a good start? Kendall, I'm going to let you take most of this, but I will say, Russ, when so I'm just like you, except I'm basically 2 years beyond you on this. So 2 years ago, what was very comfortable for me was to go back to like 1986, 87, 88, 89 Fleer basketball. And I did buy complete sets from people. They were collected sets. They were sets that people had put together and then kept in whatever condition they could keep them in. And then I broke the sets, had the Jordans and the other Hall of Famers graded out of those sets, and tried to make money that way. I didn't make as much money as I thought I was going to, because I basically broke even, but it was fun. But I broke even because the condition of the cards, even when they were kept in good condition, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to grade very well. So I would consider that a fun yet very risky strategy. And then the hobby boxes, I'm going to pass to Kendall for the rest of this, but my quick take is that's also very risky.
Yeah, so your top end with opening hobbies is higher, because you could pull a card that is $2,000-$3,000 that you'd never be able to afford. The likelihood of that happening is very small and very slim. You're gambling at this point. And which is fine, if you want to do that, and if you have the margin for it, that's okay. But what I'm saying is, if you're first getting into the hobby, buy 3 individual cards. But take 3 players that you like a lot and buy 3 of those cards, and I would say max $100. So at max all in, you're at $300 here. And on the bottom end, you could do this for like 30. And then take a month, watch those 3 cards. Watch their trend lines, just like you would a stock. And you can use market movers, which we have a subscription booster, or however you want to call it.
Yeah, you can get your first month for $1 by using the promo code no offseason.
So, at that point, you're $31 all in to watch this for a month. And to watch those 3 cards, because the hardest part for this game to be understood is knowing when, where, how, and who to sell to. That's the hardest part. It's very easy to see that guy's going to be great. I'm buying one of those cards. It's very hard to know when, who, how, and where to sell them, because where, you could do eBay, but you're going to lose some margin. You could do Twitter, but you're going to lose some, you don't have as many viewers. You could do Instagram, but you got to create a following. Like they all have like this con to them. How is like, you've got to learn how to package your materials well. If you send a card not in a top loader, in a penny sleeve, wrapped in bubble wrap to somebody, you're going to get slayed on your eBay account. You got to know how to package. How does the hobby expect you to do this? There are hoops you don't know you're going to have to jump through to get there, which is fine. We can help you through those things. That's what we're here for. We're here for helping people get a strategy behind what they're doing, answering and figuring out and walking through the questions of the where, the how, the when, all that in selling your profile. But buying, super fun, super easy. Selling, way more fun, very hard.
Yeah.
I would say buy 3 singles and watch them for 3 months.
I agree. Great stuff. And Russ, email us too if you want. Paul@nooffseason.com. Thanks for asking the question on Spotify, though. That's cool. I didn't even really know that existed. So you guys can ask questions there. Okay, quick question from Ryan Borusky. This one I answered on the Basketball Card Strategy show on Friday, so I'm going to keep it really quick because Ryan provided some additional information that I wanted to share. And that is, so his question, which I thought was great, is he lives in the Philadelphia area, and he saw that Tyrese Maxey is actually going to be signing at a show. Mm-hmm. And his question was, what is the raw card that I would buy to get signed if I had a choice? His initial thought was to try to find a nice raw parallel, either Prism or Optic, take it to the show to get it signed. While I think that there's no wrong answer here, what I would do is I would actually take a completely non-desirable card, like a base Donruss or a base Optic, or maybe an Optic Hollow. I would find one that I think would be a PSA 10 card grade. And the reason specifically I'm choosing those brands is because those are the brands that I'm best at. My eye is best at telling if that has a really serious chance of being a PSA 10, because I think of the border, the distinct white border around Donruss and Optic. And so I've had a higher gem rate personally at that card. So for me personally, I would say take a card. Actually, I would go the opposite direction. And to me, this is an opportunity to make a non-desirable card desirable versus a already desirable card that you can sell and potentially get some profit on. I would leave that alone. And then I would take one that's basically crap and make it not crap. And then I would sell that. Now, what Ryan came back with, which I wanted to share with everybody, is the price. Kendall, what do you think that this event is charging per auto for Tyrese Maxey?
$75.
$129. So at that price point, then I do think you would need a banger of a card because it's sucking all your profit margin. Or I think what you do is you maybe go jersey or something like, if you're going to spend $129 on the auto itself, then I think you really need to be buying some kind of authentic memorabilia or just a more expensive card, because then you're never, I don't even think you're going to get $200 for a PSA 10 of the base card signed, after the non-pack pulled auto. So anyway, let's go to the next one, because I think we're probably in agreement there. And just for time's sake, we got Playmaker88X emailed me on Instagram. He's Playmaker88X. So thanks for the question. He says he loves the show. Great content and perspective.
Is that a Des Bryant call? Well, 88?
Maybe CD Lamb. I don't know.
Up the 8? Well, Des was like 88 and he would score and he'd throw up the X.
Maybe. Is he an Oklahoma State or a Cowboys fan?
Ooh.
Maybe both. Who knows? Playmaker88X says, slab condition. Does it matter? Oftentimes on eBay listings, I have purchased a card, PSA graded, for example. Once I receive it, I notice that it may have minor scuffs and a small scratch or scratches on either the front or back of the slab sometimes, but not cracked. I had a scuff on, I got a SGC card back a couple years ago, and it just had a big scuff on the back of the slab, and it was brand new from SGC. Kendall, what do you think? Slab condition, does it matter, or is the only thing that matters the card inside and the grade?
I think the slab matters only if the card inside is worth a ton of money. I think, for instance, if this Pedri 10, $50 slab, if there was a scratch on the back or something, it would not matter, because no one's looking at this and being like, okay, is this a premium investment? I think, for instance, when you buy a family car for $8,000 or something like that, you're expecting there to be some dings and dents and rock hits in the front. You're expecting it to be driven, probably. I think with a premium investment, yes, and there are slab protectors and stuff. But I think for the most part, no.
Unless that's a great answer.
No.
I was not expecting that answer, but I think you're absolutely right. Great point, Kendall, because if you're I think of a couple years ago, PWCC on their high-end auctions will make claims if it's I think there was a Michael Jordan 1986 Fleer PSA 10, and I think that they added a claim to it, this is the best condition Michael Jordan 86 PSA 10 that we've ever seen. It was literally something that was that was their statement. And I think that is when slab condition matters. That's a $800,000 card potentially. And so that's when you're okay, this slab better not have anything wrong with it. If you're paying, five figures, basically 5 figures, 6 figures for a card.
Chad, you're right about Rain-X. That definitely will help. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, good tips here in the comments. Chad's got some great tips. So before we get to the next question, Chad says, this is back to a couple questions ago with Russ. He's tried sets, hobby boxes, singles, lots, grading. It's all a ton of fun. Nothing, he says, has better ROI than buying local complete collections and selling it off in pieces. Love that. That's not something I have experience doing, but I like that. Yeah, and then Scratches on Slabs come out with a product code from Walmart for foggy headlights called Rain-X. Interesting. Love it. Okay. Two more questions. Scott Lawrence went to the Burbank Card Show, and I thought this was really cool. He's hadn't been to a card show in 20 plus years. He said this was a big one. I've got some photos I'm going to show up flash up on the screen real quick here in a second. I have Scott's permission to do this. He got some Shohei rookies and some Bowman first. He feels like he got 20% lower than lowest eBay comps. That's great. And most importantly, his son had a blast, saved his money and bought some Kobe and MJ slabs and a dozen Trout cards in the $2 to $5 boxes. Thanks for the podcast and great info. He sent these to Lefty on Twitter as well. So here's the Shohei rookies. Now, what I like about these, they're all gem mint, you know? So Shohei's super liquid and gem mint is always super liquid. So nice work there, Scott. Here's his man here.
That's the best part about this whole thing.
Yep.
This is the best part about the whole thing. Don't lose sight of what's important. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Those of you listening, this is Scott's son holding up his Kobe and MJ slabs. And then this is a photo that I did not take the time to turn the correct way. So those of you on eBay can slay me in the comments here. But what I like about this is he's got, first of all, an Andy Rodriguez at the top auto. Base refractor auto. Or base auto, I should say, not a refractor. And then Wander, Jackson Churio, PSA 10s, Bowman Chrome firsts, and a guy named Sal Frelick, who is on our sports card investment report.
Big Sal.
Big Sal. This is a Sapphire Edition PSA 10. Kendall, we don't talk about Sapphire Edition at all.
You see this?
And
big
there's
Sal.
There's Big Sal. Let's take two more questions real quick because one of them's our guy VJ. Back to we'll end the show with a VJ question. But before we do, I have a question for you, Kendall. Talk about Sapphire Edition Bowman Chrome firsts. Is it seen as the same level as just your regular Bowman Chrome first? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it the same?
Yeah, typically the price is a little bit under the comp of a regular, like the True, for instance, True Red and Sapphire Red. Sapphire Red is going to take a little bit of a price hit because of the market's understanding that it is a parallel rather than the original. But especially on the lower end, sapphires tend to sell, especially slabbed, quicker because they just look better. Like they just look like they were worth more, and so if it's, for instance, if something is a Bowman Chrome auto and I had the ability to get a Bowman Chrome auto, let's just take Sal, for example, a Bowman Chrome Sal for $80 or a Bowman Chrome Sapphire for $90, like autoed the same, I'm probably going to buy the Sapphire because I like the way it looks. That's just me personally. But at the same time, man, I was going to shout out Soccer Idiot, and I'm glad he's here.
Let's go Soccer Idiot. Love it.
Not sure. There you go, brother.
So so those of you listening, Soccer Idiot says card show in Scottsboro, Alabama. Not sure how long of a drive it is from Nashville, but the show's pretty good. Thanks for the info, SSI. I'm going to look into that for sure. You may see me there.
Everton and Liverpool play today. It's a derby day for me. So I knew Southern, if he was going to be here, was going to roast me about Everton playing Liverpool. But here we are.
One of my favorite things about sports card investing is, a lot of people say they love the hobby because they meet a lot of good people. I agree.
Yeah.
But like taking that a step further, what I love about it is like Kendall, for example. He and I have become very good friends.
Yeah.
We didn't know each other. We met each other through creating content.
Yeah.
And now we're really good friends. And so what I also know is the whole Everton thing, like I would never in my life, that would never be on my radar. Like there's no reason for that to be on my radar. Like Derby Day, like I'd never know. And now it's like fun for me because it's like fun for Kendall. And I'm like, I care a little bit, or, there's some level of dipping my toe in the water.
Let's go.
Because of Kendall. So I really like
up
that.
the toffees. Let's hear it, Paul. Just up the top. Just say, let's go up the toffees, baby.
Up the toffees.
There you go. Let's go. The boys in blue.
Boys in blue. As long as we're not talking about the Michigan Wolverines, I'm good.
No, we are not.
SSI went to bed at 4 a.m. and got up at 7 to watch the show. You are the man. And I just don't have the energy to be trolling you today, Kendall.
Hey,
SSI
brother.
and Kendall have a special relationship.
I love it.
Okay, last question. VJ. Since VJ is helping out.
Oh, let's go. VJ's up with the Blues.
VJ's helping out at nooffseason.com, and he's doing a great job. How will KD be remembered when he retires? This is actually like, it's a good question, but it kind of like goes along with what Kendall and I say about KD is like, I don't think well at all. Like, I think when people say the name Kevin 15 to 20 years from now, people are going to think you're talking about Garnett, not Durant. Like when you start, yeah, I could be wrong, but I think he's going to have to do some things to turn this around. I don't think now so there is a Durant fan base out there, because when we've talked about KD in the past, Gary and I from Hoops and Cards had a basketball card strategy show where I just absolutely laid into Durant about like why I don't think you should buy Durant cards, why Durant doesn't have a fan base, like why he's one of the best 15 players of all time, but he's not going to be remembered that way. And people kind of, there was some backlash from that. Like there were people that came in and defended KD big time and actually intelligently. Like it wasn't trolling. It was like some very intelligent comments, like very good points. I took some time to reply, and there was like mutual respect with that. But so maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like not well. I don't think he's going to be, because, and let me specify, not well for how good he is.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's what I think where Kendall and I are coming from on this is not out of disrespect for Kevin Durant. It's out of, he is probably as good as any scorer in the history of the league. But like, how well is Karl Malone remembered? Like, how well is, like some of the other guys on the scoring list? I think he's just going to be one of those guys, honestly. And like and Karl Malone, it's not because he went from the Jazz to the Lakers, but it's just people just didn't like him as much. And I think Kevin Durant has a little bit of that in him. And I think he also has a little bit of hopping from team to team in him. So those two things I think will hurt Durant. But anyway,
let me ask you this question. How many Christian Laettner cards do you see out there just floating around?
I actually included a Christian Laettner card as packing material recently, because Christian Laettner's packing material.
Yeah. I'm not saying Kevin Durant is packing material, because there's definitely an echelon difference between Durant's talent and Laettner's talent. But
VJ says, who's Karl Malone? Exactly.
Kevin Durant is probably not going to be a media personality. He's probably not going to be a coach. He's probably going to be a special assistant to some GM somewhere or something like that. He's not a guy that shines brightly in the like spotlight. He's a guy that loves to play basketball, is very good at playing basketball, and doesn't care about anything other than basketball, which is great. But his brand is not good. Like, he's not good at selling himself. He's very good at continually punching his fans in the balls and keep going.
Oh, there we go. There it is.
I mean, it's just true. I loved Kevin Durant when he was in Oklahoma City. I've been a Thunder fan since the first day that the Oklahoma City Thunder were a thing. You know, and I was just like, I'm going all in. I got a Durant jersey. I freaking burned it.
Love it. Chad says, no player in the history of the NBA I dislike more than Leitner. And I know you're not alone because ESPN did a 30 for 30 called I Hate Christian Leitner. And so you guys, if you haven't already, Chad, you should check that out because it's all about why people hate Christian Leitner. Super interesting.
Chad,
anyway,
I am surprised that you are claiming a UK fandom right now because they suck.
I love Jamal Mashburn though. When I was like in middle school, Jamal Mashburn, Glenn Big Dog Robinson, Jason Kidd at Cal. Those were my dogs, man. I love those guys. Like watching those guys play college hoops. They were all kind of in the same era. I never really loved anybody from Duke, but I did like Jamal Mashburn from UK. He was slick. The Monster Mash. I love that. Okay, we'll take another question because it's Oh My Shoes. He has $100 to blow on cards. What should he get? And Oh My Shoes is like he's super down. Like he's down. He's in the 1% of audience members. And he's in the live stream. And he doesn't always make it in the live stream. He's looking at a Kobe 96 rookie, number 138, SGC 9.
I'm not familiar with this specific card, but what I will say is Kobe's always a good card to buy. Yeah,
and Ox, what I'll add, look up comps for the PSA 9 and if comps for the PSA 9 are significantly higher, say close to double what the SGC 9 is, which could be the case, get it, crack the slab, send it to PSA. Boom. Everybody, thanks so much for watching and listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show, episode 69. Kendall, do you have anything that you maybe want to add before we
Yes, I do. Up the toffees and play the rock music.
Let's go, the rock music. Everybody have a great day.